Good afternoon, second grade. It's Mr. Holman here. I am back on Monday. We're going to read another book in the Our Earth series. I really have to apologize for this one because if we were in the classroom, we could have so much of a different time. But today we're going to read Volcanoes Rising. Now, normally this would be the time that we would also do the volcanoes section in our science book, and we put the whole thing together during the week, but I'm hoping that if we're together before the end of the school year, we'll do that chapter and then do the experiment, okay? So we'll see what happens. But right now, I'm going to read this book, which is part of our chapter on our natural world, our Earth, Volcanoes Rising, and it's by Elizabeth Rush, and it's illustrated by Susan Swan. Kaboom! Most people think volcanoes are either sound asleep or blowing their tops off in fiery, ash-spewing catastrophes. Catastrophe is a pretty big word. It just means disaster. But volcanoes are not just destructive. Much more often, volcanoes are creative. They grow taller and wider. They form majestic mountains, and they build new islands where there were none before. Both creative and destructive eruptions start with gooey melted rock called magma. Magma from deep in the earth rises up a gigantic straw-like tube, a vent, or opening. If magma makes it to the earth's surface, it's called lava. A burst of lava is an eruption. Magma is made up of gases as well as melted and partially melted rock. As it rises and fills huge underground chambers, pressure builds and builds, until the magma is forced up and out of a volcano's vent. Erupted magma can spurt out and flow down a volcano like red-hot syrup. This fluid lava cools to form either spiky chunks called a'a'a, smooth, ropey surfaces called pahoeohe. Magma can also burst out in solid chunks called tehra. Tehra can be tiny bits, like ash, lightweight gas-filled pieces, pumice, which I'm sure you've heard of, or solid rocks and boulders, lava bombs. But what determines whether lava erupts peacefully or dangerously? And again, everything starts down in the chamber, it comes up in different forms. Pow! Gases blast lava out in an explosive eruption. Gases and lava slowly seep out in a creative eruption. Gas determines whether an eruption creates or destroys. Rising gases push lava out of a volcano. In destructive eruptions, gases get trapped inside thick magma or are blocked by plugs in the vents. Pressure builds until lava, ash, and gas explode all at once, like soda from a shaken can. In creative eruptions, vents are open and gases escape slowly, like when you carefully unscrew a soda bottle. Lava bubbles and sprays like water from a hose, or oozes like toothpaste from a tube. Layer upon layer of lava piles up, forming lava domes. Over time, peaceful eruptions can build mountains. Creative eruptions occur 3 times more often than violent ones. They happen all over the world in all kinds of different places. All right. So if you were to have 4 volcanic eruptions, 3 of them would be creative. And here we can see the difference. Whoops. The destructive eruption is blowing out all these chunks of rock, exploding out of the top of the mountain, whereas the creative one just kind of bubbles and oozes like soup, or like they said, toothpaste from a tube. A creative eruption can start with the ground swelling a tiny bit each year. Magma gathering underground creates a bulge that may one day make a new mountain. In the Cascade Range in central Oregon, 3 composite volcanoes, massive cones made from layers of both lava and ash, sit in a tight cluster, as if they're having a tea party. They're called the 3 Sisters, North, Middle, and South Sister. But wait, what's this? A large area next to the South Sister rose 4 inches, 10 centimeters, between 1996 and 2000, and continues to rise. This uplift is caused by magma pooling a few miles under the surface. Scientists think a new volcano, West Sister, may join the party sometime, giving us yet another spectacular mountain to explore. Now, obviously, this will have to be a long, long time in the future, but it's still impressive to think about. Sometimes creation happens more quickly. Volcanoes can appear out of nowhere. One day, the ground cracks and ash spurts out, forming a new volcano. In 1943, a farmer plowed his cornfield in Piracutin, Mexico. Ash exploded from a crack in the ground and it rained down, creating a steep cinder cone. In one day, the cone reached 164 feet, about 50 meters. In a week, it stood 500 feet, 150 meters tall. Ash slowly buried the farm and nearby villages, but the family and villagers moved to land close by and began farming the rich ash-fertilized fields. After a year, Piracutin's cone was more than 1,000 feet, 330 meters tall. After 9 years, the cinder cone volcano stood more than 1,300 feet, or 424 meters. Piracutin is considered one of the wonders of the world. It created a mountain, fertilized fields, and gave scientists a chance to study the fast growth of a new volcano. So, there is much power in the earth. Volcanoes even make mountains underwater. If these submarine volcanoes grow high enough, their tips form new islands. 3/4 of the volcanic activity takes place deep in the ocean. In 1963, a submarine volcano near Iceland erupted to create the island of Surtsey. In a few years, the island rose more than 550 feet, 167 meters, above sea level, and grew to more than a mile, 2 kilometers across. Moss and lichen took hold of the lava rocks. A bush grew, and then other plants followed. Finally, seals, puffins, and other animals began breeding there. Surtsey now hosts a small hut for researchers, a new laboratory for watching what happens on the new island. Some volcanoes secretly erupt under glaciers, hiding glowing mountains deep under thick ice. Grímsvötn, Iceland's most frequently active volcano, lies beneath the country's largest glacier, Vatnajökull, with only a bit of its rim exposed. Underneath the vast ice cap is a hot spot, a place where lots of magma from the Earth's mantle rises to the surface. This makes for a very creative volcanic environment, causing Iceland to constantly grow in size. Creative eruptions can continue for a really long time. Whoosh. Fountains of red-hot lava squirt high into the air. Gurgle. Stinky lava steams to the shore. Tss. Fluid lava hits the ocean, steaming and hardens to form new land. For more than 25 years, shield volcano Kilauea on the Big Island of Hawaii has been in a state of creative eruption. Shield volcanoes have lots of vents, allowing runny lava to leak from cracks to form broad mounds that are shaped like shields. Kilauea's constant eruption has added more than 500 acres to the island. That's more than 314 soccer fields. No one works or plays soccer on this new acreage yet, but they will. After all, where would the people of Hawaii live if not for the creative eruptions that help build their islands? Most volcanoes have both destructive and creative eruptions. Wham! They blow their tops, then spurt, gurgle, scrape. They get down to the business of building a new dome. In 1980, Mount St. Helens in Washington state exploded, losing 1,300 feet off its top, shooting a huge black ash cloud higher than airplanes fly, and mowing down massive trees as if they were toothpicks. Right after the eruption, the volcano began oozing squishy lava pancakes, building a new dome 876 feet high. That's the height of a 50-story building. Then, after a 13-year rest, the volcano started pushing out huge slabs of hardened lava so fast it could fill a bedroom in a minute. It built a dome higher than the Empire State Building. Someday, Mount St. Helens will completely rebuild its summit, all 1,300 feet or more. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Kabam, bam, boom! Even the most dangerous volcanoes, supervolcanoes, can do creative work. Between gigantic eruptions, they can erupt gently for many years, repairing the scarred land. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, the Yellowstone supervolcano had 3 gigantic eruptions that blanketed most of the United States with ash. So much magma exploded out from underground that the surface collapsed, swallowing mountains and creating a gigantic crater called a caldera. Since the last destructive eruption, 640,000 years ago, 30 gentle lava flows have nearly filled in the caldera. Some of these lava flows have been thick and widespread, as large as 130 square miles, twice the size of Washington, D.C. But the flow oozed slowly, moving at most a few hundred feet per day, smoothing out the land over hundreds of years. And to this day, the heat from that magma deep underground heats the water that makes the geysers and the hot pots. To save roads, houses, and harbors, people have tried to stop creative eruptions. But even gentle lava flows are hard to halt. Engineers tried to dam lava flowing from Mount Etna. They diverted the flow, but couldn't stop it. The United States Army bombed Mauna Loa in Hawaii to redirect lava away from the city of Hilo. They missed the target, but luckily the flow ceased on its own. For 5 months, For 5 months, Icelanders sprayed millions of gallons of water on lava from Heimjete volcano, hoping to halt the lava flow by cooling it. They slowed the flow, but the eruption still added 1 square mile of new land to the island and narrowed the entrance to the town's harbor. Still, people are rarely hurt by creative eruptions because they can outwalk or outrun them. In fact, we inch up as close as we can to these eruptions, even underwater, to watch the landscape changing. Scientists send underwater robots to hover feet from submarine volcanoes, observing the pillow lava pulsing from the vent, waiting for an island to be born. Visitors stroll right up to the bubbling lava leaking out of Kilauea, feeling the heat, squinting at the red-hot glow as the island expands. Hikers climb to Mount St Helens crater rim, smelling the rotten and egg-smelling gases, hearing the rumbling of new rocks being made, watching as the volcano rebuilds itself. And here's a picture of a drone looking at an underwater volcano. Creative eruptions give us all a chance to witness the power of a volcano rising. Okay, volcano rising. Looking at the benefits of volcanoes erupting as opposed to just thinking about them destroying everything. So these are the questions that I'm going to have you answer today. Number 1, and this one is just give me a sentence, yes or no. Number 1, have you ever been to Yellowstone and seen the geysers? Number 2, I would like you to write a little story about yourself, just a few sentences. You can even draw a picture in your notebook. But how would you react if you saw a creative volcano working somewhere nearby? What would you do? What would you think? How would you behave? 2 or 3 sentences, maybe like, oh, I'd be scared and I'd run away. Or, oh, I'd want to get a close look. Whichever. So class, there's something else I need to talk to you about, and this is something I've been meaning to talk to you about all school year. You'll notice that I'm your teacher, and sometimes I stumble over words. Sometimes I make a couple of mistakes. That's okay, and you will too. Reading isn't having the book memorized. Reading isn't knowing all of the words perfectly. Reading is doing your best and correcting things, like when I said landscapers instead of Icelanders. That was a mistake, and I was able to fix it. So whenever you're reading, keep trying. You don't have to get the word perfect on the first try. Keep trying. Say it again to yourself. Make sure to see if it sounds right to your ear. Because it's more important that you can fix a mistake than it is to be perfect on the first try. Okay? I want you to keep that in mind. Anyway, tell me about your volcano story. Tell me about whether or not you've been to Yellowstone to see any of the geysers or anything. And have a good day. And tomorrow we're going to finish off our natural world unit. And after that, we'll start a whole new section. Okay, thank you. Stay healthy, stay safe, and have a very good day.